7-1 in the 80th minute, and just like that, my opponent has put the controller down. Now that's not luck, that's not a bad day for them. That's what happens when you build a tactic that's actually designed to break people, not just beat them. This is the 4-1-2-1-2 narrow. I love this formation, and by the end of this video you're going to understand exactly why it works, role by role, instruction by instruction. No fluff, no trust me kind of tactics. I'm actually going to explain things thoroughly, just the actual football logic behind why your opponent's midfield disappears and how you can dominate, why your front four never stops getting service, and why games like this end early. Let's get into it. The 4-1-2-1-2 narrow then. 2 strikers, 1 cam, 2 central midfielders, 1 holding midfielders, and 4 at the back. No wingers. Now that's the part that people get wrong straight away. They assume that no width means no goals, and it's actually the opposite. What this formation actually does is flood the middle of the pitch. 5 players, your 2 strikers, your cam, your 2 central mids, all operating in that central channel between the boxes against opposing AI, and this game is very AI dominated. They dominate the midfield and allow you to play beautiful football. You get the balance between narrow and the width, and that's the overload that your opponent really can't defend. You're outnumbering them in not only the space that matters, but you're outnumbering them in front of their back four, and that creates chance after chance. The width still comes. It comes from your fullbacks and also their left centre mid. That's going to be really important. They're the players that are going to go wide, which means that when they do overlap, the opponent's wide players are usually pulled out of position trying to track centrally first, and that's the trap. So before we get into the instructions, the shape itself is already asking your opponent a question they don't have a clean answer to. So let's start at the back, because a good attack means nothing if you're bleeding goals. So in goal, we've just got a goalkeeper on defend. If you want to have sweeper keeper, that's absolutely fine. Nothing fancy here. Centre backs. So we've gone for both defenders on defend. Now this is deliberate. You don't need too adventurous. I have used ball playing defenders in the past. You just need centre backs that are going to do their job, because the defensive midfielder is already shielding them, and your fullbacks are providing the attacking threat from deep. Defend keeps your spine settled, they mark tight, they don't get dragged out of shape, and they're not stepping into midfield leaving gaps behind them. Now the fullbacks, and this is where the system comes alive. We've got our left back and right back both on the versatile fullback role. Versatile is the key word here. It means they're not locked into bombing forward like wing back every single time there's kind of like an attack going on. They read the game, so if there's space for them and you're attacking down the right hand side, your right back will naturally go forward and your left back will form that 3 at the back. If you're attacking down the left hand side, your left fullback will go forward and the right back will naturally form a back 3. So when you overload in the middle of the pitch, they actually offer the width on the outside. If you are looking to purchase FC26 coins or points, then head over to eldorado.gg. I personally use them as a little bit of a top up to complete the evos that I want to complete, and of course to get my beloved Liverpool past and present players. I also sometimes delve into the store for a cheeky little pack. The amazing thing with eldorado.gg is that you can check out the reviews, you can go on Trustpilot, and you can pick the exact seller you want, so you have absolute faith and trust in what you are receiving. If you use code ALX, then you get an additional 5% off your order, whether that's coins or points, as a little bit of a money saver. The link is in the description below. And that is really important. When the moment's right, they push beyond kind of like your midfielders and they provide that width. So that's the picture at the back, a settled, disciplined back four, but then you do get that bit of width. Otherwise it can get too congested with those 4 central players. Now this is really key, the double pivot and the cam, the 2 centre mids and the cam. This is the engine room. This is where most opponents lose the game without even realising it. So the holding midfielder, the CDM, on roaming playmaker and paired up with the short passing, roaming means that they're not fixed to one spot. They are going to join the attack. They're going to be that passing option. You can get to the edge of your opponent's box and you've got a safe CDM that you can ping that ball to, and then they can pass it forward to a centre mid, a cam, or even a striker. So they drift forward, they find pockets of space, they pick the ball up from the centre backs, and they start the build up. In front of them, two playmakers. Now we've got one with the roaming playmaker on the left centre mid, drifting, finding space, linking up with the CDM, and they are going to drift wide. So even with the fullbacks, the playmaker on roaming is going to be wider. On the right hand side, we've got a playmaker, but on the attack role. So instead of roaming, they're going to be on attack. The difference is that the right centre mid on playmaker attack is going to push higher. They're going to arrive later in the box. They're going to get on the end of things. They're going to be able to link things with the cam and the striker. Whereas the playmaker on roaming is going to be that little bit wider. They're going to be there for possession. They're going to look to get a nice 5 yard 10 difference between the CDM, the cam, the left back. They're going to be there for possession, whereas your right CDM is going to get into the box. So effectively, you've got three central midfielders all rated as playmakers. A deep line playmaker in the CDM and two playmakers in the left centre mid and right centre mid. Three very different jobs. One anchoring, one balancing, one attacking. Now that's not an accident, that's by design. That's a passing triangle that never breaks down, because at any moment at least one of those three is going to be in space to receive a pass. Then in front of the midfield, but in behind the strikers, we've got a cam. Classic 10 on versatile, and versatile's key in this setup. The classic 10 is built for exactly this position, linking the midfield to attack, dropping short when needed, driving forward when there's a gap. They've got the license to roam because of the versatile duty. They don't lock into one job. They're used to connect the midfield and the striker and create that 5-man attack or 5-woman attack, or a mix of both. 5 players all comfortable on the ball, able to find pockets of space, and that is the heartbeat of the tactic. Up top then, we've got 2 advanced forwards on the support role. Support role on a striker sounds passive, but it's actually the smartest setting here. It's the support striker that doesn't just sit on the last man waiting for through balls. They drop into pockets, link with the cam, then burst in behind, drawing a centre back out of position. With 2 of them doing this simultaneously, you get constant rotation up top. One drops, one runs. They then swap. Defenders can't settle, and it means that once you pull a defender out of position, you can absolutely obliterate the backline and create chances. Because they're both advanced forwards rather than poachers, they're contributing to the build-up too, so not just finishing it. That's exactly why this front 2 combines really well with the classic 10 sitting just behind them. 2 team instructions now tie this whole thing together. Build-up style is short passing. With this, the playmaker rolls on the pitch. You want the ball moving through the feet, not over the top. Short passing keeps the team patient, keeps the triangles tight, and keeps playing directly into the strengths of the CDM and 2 centre mids and your cam. You're not hoping for a lucky through ball, you're patiently working the opponent apart the same way every good 4-1-2-1-2 formation and tactic does. Defensive approach is high. With a back 4, this is disciplined and a double pivot shielding them. You can afford to push the line up, be aggressive. A high line compresses the pitch, squeezes the space your opponent's midfield has to work in, and sets you up perfectly to win the ball high up the pitch and get straight on the attacking and front foot. It's aggressive, but it's controlled aggression because the roles behind it are built to cope with it. Now here's the part that actually explains the scoreline. Most opponents you'll face are set up to defend width, wingers tracking back, fullbacks doubling out wide. This tactic doesn't attack mainly down the wide channels, it attacks through the middle repeatedly. 5 players who are all comfortable receiving the ball, turning, linking, short passing to kind of pair it all and match it all together. By the time your opponent actually kind of like switches to a fullback or wing back, you have already started the movement with your midfield and you're dominating that central area. Once you're ahead, the same shape that scored the goals makes you incredibly hard to come back against. You've got the ability to counterattack, dominate, and as your opponent piles players forwards, you can attack and you can get chance after chance and goal after goal. If anything, the opponent chasing the game opens up even more space centrally, and that's exactly how this tactic can dominate and get a scoreline that runs away from the opponent. And that's what you saw in this match, goal after goal, not only from one lucky run, but from the same central overload working again and again. By 7-1 in the 80th minute, there wasn't a tactical adjustment left for them to make. They'd already tried everything, and that's when the controller gets put down and the W's come rolling in. If you want to run this yourself, the custom tactics code is on the screen now, so go to your tactics screen, get that custom tactic loading in, and you can be set up exactly like you've seen in this video. A quick few tips though: don't panic if the first 10 minutes feel a bit slow or feel a bit different. Short passing build up takes a moment to click, especially if you're used to faster transitions, counter attack for example. Trust the patience. Once your players kind of get in the kind of positions that you get used to, the chances start coming on their own. Pay attention to your fullbacks. So again, versatile duty are doing quite a lot of the quiet work. If you're not seeing them overlap, that usually means your central players aren't drawing, kind of not getting on the ball and dominating enough. You're kind of rushing the attack and as a counter attack too often. When you've got that patient attack, your fullbacks really do come alive. So that's the breakdown of formation and tactic built to overload the middle, roles that all complement each other instead of fighting for the same space, and team instructions that turn up patient possession into relentless pressure, which you know I absolutely love. So if this tactic has helped you, drop a comment with your scoreline below. I want to see how you're getting on with it and if you made any tweaks as well. Hit subscribe if you want more breakdowns like this one, and I'll see you in the next video. Take care.